Can you tell me about yourself?
Well, I'm involved with COVID right now, just like the rest of us are, and I'm pretty well home, and I wear a mask when I go out with people. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, from a family, and I'm now 88 years old. And then I went many years to Grailville when I graduated from high school, which was a 300-acre farm, and we raised our own food. And I went because I wanted to get a spiritual formation for the work that I wanted to do in the world. I'm a Catholic, but not as a religious sister, but as somebody with a task in the world. And so that's what I've been working at all these years. So there's a lot of details in 88 years.
What inspired you, you write this book?
I think there were three factors primarily. One was every time someone would die, when I was younger, I would make a card for the people who left behind that had a caterpillar, a cocoon, and a butterfly, because it seemed the best symbol of our hope for life beyond this one, for resurrection. And we don't know what will happen when people pass on, but I dare to hope that there is something. So that's the belief I have, and the hope I have. And so that always was there. And then I raise butterflies now. I never did earlier. I never did before Hope for the Flowers, but I raised lots of butterflies, particularly monarch butterflies that come up north, and they're just coming into my town right now, and then fly south, about the third generation from there. I had the privilege of working in Egypt, developing a young women's cooperative group there with embroidery. And I was evacuated in the 1967 war with Israel and came to France. And I was there during 1968. That's a powerful year if you want to ever look it up in history. Everybody was talking about revolutions. The students and the workers in Paris were about to bring down the government. The artists now had occupied the big museum in Brussels. Now you have to imagine artists, young people in sleeping bags with all the great masterpieces on the walls. So I thought, this I have to see. I'm an artist, so what would this be like? So I went there. They wouldn't let me stay overnight. I think they were afraid this police might come and this American woman, it would be too complicated, but they gave me a place to stay. And I asked one of the young men there, do you really think if you tear down the whole old order, something good will come? And he said, yes. So I started to think about what the real revolution has to be. We don't just change those on top briefly, and then it changes again. So that's the image in Hope for the Flowers about the pillar. Then the third thing that happened was that I had written this other book about hope, and a publisher thought that they would publish that. But then after I worked on that, after I came back from Egypt, and I had changed because of the poverty I worked with and the revolution stuff and all that, I had changed. So this is now 1969, and they gave me this contract, and I worked on it for 7 months. And then one day, these little caterpillars crawled off the cover of the first book, because they was already my symbol of change and hope. They crawled off and wanted to become their own book.
Wow, what a story.
And so if I didn't have a contract, it probably never would have been written. And the revolution, this preoccupation I had with what's a real revolution of life. And then the first thing, of course, was my hope for life, for the transformation of each of us, for the transfiguration of us, whatever way you want to think about it. So some people can think about resurrection. Some people can just think of the transforming of the world and make it the beautiful place we think it can be, which I do believe it can be if we share. But it takes radical sharing, profound sharing. I think I should show you this poster that I made that I made in 1963.
Oh, you made yourself. Okay, I
I made
see.
it. Yes, I made it. It's my poster that
Oh,
in 1963 for my first civil rights march when we were having all the problems in the United States about race.
uh-huh.
And so we're using it again this year, but it's not
Oh,
just
yeah.
Black Lives Matter anymore.
Uh-huh.
It's about
That's neat.
we need each other because
Uh-huh.
this is if you take away one of those two hands, the other disappears. We need each other. We need
Uh-huh.
the Koreans, we need the Japanese, we need the Chinese, we need the Russians, we need different race is an artificial construct anyhow. We're more deeply alike than we possibly are because of the color of our skin. It's quite ridiculous. So
Yeah.
this is my poster, and the meaning is that we have to work together and we need each other. So that's the point.
That's true.